Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful they got there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of YAHAWASHI, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in YAHAWASHI. All right, and what I want to get into today is dealing with, the comparison of the simplicity of Yahawashi and the over complicated empire. All right, because as we go into the scriptures, the scriptures teach us about going back, to those old paths. Jeremiah 6 and 16. If any brothers on, they can post their Bible Shah. And the scriptures speak about seeking the old paths, and there was a much simpler way, and their way was full of wisdom, because people, when they think of wisdom or a high level of wisdom, most people think of something that's extremely complicated, that's hard to figure out, but a lot of wisdom has to do with simplicity, man. As we learn and go into the scriptures and we find out that wisdom is rooted in simplicity, man. Okay? And we live in a society now that has made everything just completely overcomplicated. Has made the simple things extremely overly complicated. Because going back to the beginning, when Yahawashi and the Elohim, all right, you go to Genesis, the first two chapters, as they was creating, everything that they was creating, they said Tawab. When you go to the word Tawab in the Hebrew, okay, the definition, because they said it was good, which is the word Tawab in the Hebrew. And when you go into that word Tawab, one of the definitions is agreeable. It's agreeable. Okay? So when you go into how everything was created, everything was made to complement each other. Even when you go into the, let's say Bob Washava, brother could post that Jeremiah 6 and 16. But even when you go into the Levitical diet and the way that they're set up, that's high level wisdom. Like I said, when people think of wisdom, they think about, putting a Rubik's Cube together, or some type of quantum physics, equation, okay? But wisdom is in everything. You go into the scriptures, speak about how wisdom is in everything, man. The wisdom of Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai. So even, for example, the Levitical diet, that's a showcase of the Lord's wisdom. How the animals, we can eat. You look at those animals that we can eat, how they produce. Those chickens lay eggs every day. Okay? You look at the size of a cow, and how much of the cow's body, can be used for meat. Okay? The lamb, the sheep, the goats. Okay? Even the deer. You look at those animals and how they're made. They're made to be eaten. Most of their body consists of meat that's to be eaten. Okay? And then you got on the flip side, well, here it is, you got, especially down here in the South, you eating crawfish. You got to wrestle that little insect to get a barely little piece of meat out. And you got to do all that work just to get to that little piece of meat. Okay? So even when you go into the Levitical diet, okay, it's based in wisdom. It's rooted in wisdom. Even the fish, the lawful fish, look how many eggs that the fish lay. The abundance. All right, because you look at the lawful foods the Lord created in a certain abundance, man. All right, his meat is easy to get to. That's why you have the term you cook. Certain things. Chicken and certain things, what they say, the meat falling off the bone, because that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to be eaten. It's meant to be consumed. Okay? But then here it is in this society, the foods, all right, that are not meant to be consumed. This man has them as a luxury, and you see the ripple effect that it has on the ecosystem, man. You know, so following the law, statutes, and commandments, is a high level of wisdom. If a brother can post that, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. Okay, because those laws are given to us to govern ourselves in wisdom, and there's a simplicity to it. Okay, like the Most High made the laws to where nothing's overcomplicated. But when you go into this man's society, when you try to figure out his money system, it's highly complicated. Okay, you try to figure out his government and his laws and bylaws. Okay, it's overcomplicated, man. That's why in the kingdom it's going to be one law that's going to govern the earth. Okay, it's not going to be the madness that we see today. Okay, you have one country is an Islamic republic. Okay, another country is a communist. Okay, this country is a communist / capitalist system. All this, fascist and socialism and Marxist and all these different styles of government, and it's all confusion. Because it can mean, and then you can have one style of government that mean, different things to different people. So it's just a ball of confusion. That's why, America itself is known as Babylon, man, which goes into confusion. And this man has overcomplicated everything. And one of the things that we're being restored back to, is the simplicity that's in YAHAWASHI, man. Okay? And that's the way to be. You see? And that's a very wise way. Okay? Because going back to the beginning when everything was created, going back to the beginning and everything was agreeable, well, the concept of, a husband and wife, okay, what was said from the beginning, it is not good for man to be alone, okay, which Lord made men to be sociable. Let's make him a helpmeet, okay, like unto himself. All right. So even the creation of man and woman, that was a creation that complemented each other, man. The foods that we can eat versus the food that we can't eat, they complement each other, man. Because the oysters and the shrimps and the different foods, the different animals that clean the water, well, they make it better. They make it better for the animals that we can eat out of the water. The fish that we can eat out of the water that's lawful, well, you have other fish that's cleaning the water, okay, making a more healthy environment for the foods that we can eat. You see, everything was created to complement each other. It was agreeable. Going back to the beginning, everything was agreeable, man. The man and woman was created to be agreeable, man. Okay, Esau, he the one and then just going into the truth, we find out that Esau put all this bullshit in the game, man. Okay, the reason why we're in the grocery store, the reason why we even have grocery stores, all right, which ultimately we should, all right, we had back in the times when people grew their food and things that they didn't grow, they had a barter system, within the community, okay, to where they can trade for things that they couldn't grow. But all the food was of one ingredient, okay? And that's another thing. People got this term whole food. Well, whole food just means that it's one ingredient, So when you get some peanuts, well, the only ingredient that should be in there is the peanut itself, okay? You get pickle, well, the only ingredient should be in there is the pickle. So this man has a society to where you pick up a jar of pickles, but then it's a paragraph when you get to the ingredients, man. Like, what is this man doing? It shouldn't, grass-fed beef shouldn't be a luxury. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay? Free-range chicken, no antibiotics, no hormones. That shouldn't be a plus. This is how these things should be. Okay, but in this society was overly complicated. This man makes you pay for simplicity, man. Okay, he makes it seem as the natural way. Okay, is he makes you pay more just for the natural way for how they're supposed to be. Like you got to pay this nigga extra not to poison you as much. you know, completely off, man. You know that's why you spend. You sometimes we all go through that phase. Most of us, where you spend a lot of time just reading ingredients, man. Like god damn, you know, just looking at the back of boxes. Here it is. It's a pack of wings, but you got to read the ingredients. What's in it? What's no off, man. When it should just be what it is. Okay, and that's what we're getting back to, and that's what the kingdom is going to be based on: simplicity, man. Going back to everything, going back to its purpose, man. Okay, because in this society, it's just a bunch of vanity all over the place. Things that don't matter are a culture, you know. And I said I'm gonna be all over the place just going into this, but you have a culture. Look at Jake culture, nigga culture, where just gang culture. All right, in which all this is rooted back in Esau Edom. Well, just talking to the brothers in Cali when I was out there, and they were telling me that there's Jake that can't leave from a 2 block radius, man. Okay, because of their gang culture. If they get caught out, if they go outside of it, their chances of dying goes up tremendously because of rival gangs. Okay, there's certain things that you can't. There's certain restaurants you can't go to that's off limit because it's in blood territory. A Burger King you can't go to because it's in Crip territory. Like, why is it so overcomplicated like that? And these niggas killing each other over nothing. Most of these niggas, all right, that's participating in this gang culture, okay, are pretty much bums. There's even if it was just crazy revenue, all right, within that culture, which you have a few guys that really get money, but even that don't justify that dumbass overcomplicated lifestyle, man. Okay, it don't make sense. All right, the Lord created to where a woman will go from her father's house, all right, being in the possession of her father to a possession of her husband, okay, and she would be the wife of that one man, okay, the rest of her life, rearing up children for the next generation. Simple, okay, tending to the house, whatever her husband's, profession was, she would assist him in that profession, okay, everything laid out simple, all right, but now in this society, by the time a woman from age 13 to 23, she's been through some of everything, man. Okay, completely traumatized. Okay, done live this lifestyle for a few years, and live this lifestyle for a few years, and live like this for a few years, and been in all these type of, relationships and, flings and whatever, you know. And by the time she's 23, she's so traumatized. Then she's enchanted, by the madness, the doctrines of the devil, to the point to where, uh, 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 to the point to where she's almost uncompatible with anyone, you know. But this comes from this overcomplicated society, man. You see, you look at it like the reason why, you look at Jake now, especially what they call YNs. It's to the point now to where you can barely look at these niggas, man. Or it could be something. Like you can't even look at these niggas. The reason why, because they operating out this overcomplicated way of thinking, man. Like the way their mind operate is all over the place, man. You see, like these niggas really think they in a video game. They think they on a music video. These niggas every move they make is trying to get some type of clout or some type of status. Everything that these these young niggas operate off of goes back to some type of vanity, and it's just an overcomplicated way of thinking. An overcomplicated way of being. You know, to where they always, like they at war, they at the ops. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to the gas station, the ops might be there. Like, they look at you like they don't know what you want. You know what I'm saying? Because their mind has been so overcomplicated, okay, by the madness of Esau Edom. You know, so it's to the point with this generation, you can't even look at these niggas, man, because everything's been so over complicated to them, to where a disagreement could be a death. You know, you look at you deal with the woman. The reason why the majority of women, all right, especially the nigga women in America, right, you can't deal with them because they're so enchanted by the doctrines, all right, of this society. Like a lot of disagreements that you have with a woman is based on an enchantment, you know, and it's so deeply rooted. Going back to what's the guy, Saheed Boslin? He went into, like, a lot of children born in the '90s, from 1990 on up, that are adults now, that they went through that 110,000 hour, passive media exposure, to where there's things so deeply rooted, all right, which in most adults, okay, to the point to where it's impossible. See, we have to understand Esau has overcomplicated things so much that it's impossible for most women to be in the marriage. It's impossible for most men, these young niggas, to function, okay, in society, you know, because they've been run to the ground with Esau just having them all over the place, man, overly concerned with things that don't matter, making an argument with things that don't matter, you know. So we live in this overcomplicated society to where a man and a woman is supposed to complement each other. Food is supposed to be medicine, okay? The earth itself, is supposed to be paradise, man. People talk about, the homelessness. Well, homelessness comes from this overcomplicated society, man. The way this man has mortgage set up, because no one pretty not many people have an inheritance to pass down. You know, you're supposed to be born into lands and acres and estates. All right, you're supposed to be born into those things. Even if you have brothers and sisters, the estate's supposed to be divided. And you're supposed to add to that, to where you have children. Now you can add to that. See, the earth was made, all this land in the earth. you know, there's not supposed to be anyone homeless, man. The earth itself is a refrigerator. The earth itself is shelter. But it takes wisdom to turn wood into a house. Okay? But this nigga rather teach you how to program a computer than to build a house. Okay? Than to insulate a house. He'll rather teach you, okay, he'll let you play Grand Theft Auto all day rather than teach you how to hunt. Why isn't in these schools, you have classes on hunting, you should have classes on building, okay? As young men starting at like 6, 7 years old, men should be doing that. Okay? That's what young men should be doing. And then you have a society full of skilled men. Okay? Women being bred to be wives, all right, from their youth, 5, 6 years old on up, being bred to be wives. You have a society full of wives. Okay? It's simple. Like, this society makes people overcomplicate everything, man. Try to make this long, drawn out discussion about everything, all right, when it doesn't have to be that. Okay? But this is what this society has produced, just that overcomplicated way of thinking, all right? That way of living. You see? Even this whole dating culture, really, that's a scam. Like that dating culture, that's taking random women on dates. Random women, these hoes don't deserve no dates. Okay, really, you go into it, which every man have their principles, you know, but really, a date is for you and your wife. There's something that like, you would give your wife a break, from her day to day task, and that's another thing too. Like these cities, and the concept of a city, which is not a terrible idea, but the way that Esau has turned these cities into a scam, to where he just hyper charges you for convenience. Cities are okay to be visited, but living in them, that's where that it overcomplicates everything, man. Just the traffic, you know, all these different codes, okay, in the city, you know, where you get people become so pampered that they lose, their skills as people. Men, become domesticated. Women become lazy as hell, from their city life, you know. So, you take your woman, to the city, give her the day off from, particular things or whatever, but this whole thing of taking this woman on, we dating, you dating 3, 4 women, and you just spending this money, she dating 3, 4 men, man, that shit is a shit show, man. Okay? This whole baby mama, baby daddy culture, okay, to where you have this woman have these children with all these different men, all right? Two of the baby daddy sorry, one of them a good man, and he come get his child, which he leave her brothers, the child's brothers and sisters there come get him, and now he looked at it a certain way because he only doing for his child, but his child brothers and sisters, man, that shit is overcomplicated, man. Okay, this is why order produces peace. Like the chaos and the stress and the depression comes from this man making things overcomplicated and calling it a culture, man. Calling chaos, a culture. Okay, so that's why. Let me get a couple of these precepts. This is Jeremiah 6:16. It said, "Thus said the Lord." This is from the brother Yashima tribe of Judah. It says, "Stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls." But they said, "We will not walk therein," man. Okay, and that's the majority of our people. They don't want to walk in their way because this is their normal. This chaos, overcomplicated, okay, way of thinking, way of being, like this is their norm. Okay, and then like I say, it goes back to Esau that has overcomplicated every goddamn thing, man. Okay, like I say the reason why you have this gender war is based on how Esau has overcomplicated everything. This doctrine, sexual liberation, feminism, um, black girl magic. Then he with the men is toxic masculinity and misogynist, and here it is. This man to say, uh, a man that wants to be the head of the house, that wants to run his house, that's toxic. Okay, but he lets women do OnlyFans. You know, you see, he has all these dating sites. Okay, he promotes women, to destroy themselves, traumatize themselves. Okay, but if someone tells you stop, oh, he's misogynist. He's he's hateful. He's that character from the Mud Deal plays, man. From the Tyler Perry movie, the token villain Jake. That just has put the villain Jake that just has put so much oppression on the woman, to where she had to be liberated. Okay, he overcomplicated that whole thing of the woman need to be liberated. Liberated from what? Because one of the things that women complain about most is what? Working. Okay, the only thing that women enjoy about feminism is the point that they can be their own head, where they don't have to check in with nobody. But everything else that came with it, the working, okay, you know, um, the working, all right, the the loneliness that come with that shit, because you make yourself incompatible, with men, you know, and the stress of the world that this world puts on you to perform, okay, that's the most thing women complain about, okay, but this devil, made women fight for it, man, you know, he overcomplicated marriage, okay, to the point to where most men are not even dealing with that marriage concept anymore because it become overcomplicated. You know, women use it as a scheme to marry men and then leave. There's women that done that to multiple men. They marry men. Then they leave and get half. They go do it again. They go do it again. Like, who made marriage this complicated, man? Esau, Edom. Okay. This is what this man has done to society. He's completely overcomplicated every facet of life, man. Okay? There's a bill for everything. All right? This man has a bill for everything, man. A water bill, light bill, all right? Insurance, okay? There's a bill for everything that you can think of. Okay, plus the taxes, that's another bill because the taxes, the taxes go to what? This man's war, CIA coups, and all these different things. So you paying for military, you paying for your daily essentials, you paying for housing. Okay, you gotta get a tag, permission to drive on the road. Okay, a license, permission to drive. So this man has just made everything overcomplicated. Passport, permission to travel. Okay, did all those migrants that come across the border, did they was they did they have passports? Okay, and that's another thing. This man changes his own rules to fit his own agenda, man. Okay, but this man has overcomplicated society so much that the masses are confused. To the point to where you can't even go ask the average woman what is a woman. Okay, you can't just go to the average man, you know, and ask him about skilled labor. You see, because everyone has been watered down with folly, okay, and confusion. You see, but the perks about the kingdom is that we're getting back. We're gonna go back to simplicity, man. That's one of the beautiful things. We're gonna go back to simplicity, man. All right. It's not gonna be, you know, um, this nation. There's not gonna be pollution. Okay. It's not gonna be any wars. Okay. It's not gonna be all these different, secret society governments and think tanks and this wicked agenda, and you find this out, like, damn, they putting this in the food. No, it's not gonna be none of that, man. Everything's gonna go back to simplicity, man. When you eat in the kingdom, it's gonna be whatever you eat. That's gonna be the ingredient. Okay, the ingredients in the kingdom is gonna be whatever you're eating. Okay, it's gonna go back to real whole food. Women are gonna go back to women. You're not gonna have to, all right, have these dumbass arguments with women. All right, or try to deal with these traumatized women. Try to, you know, uh, figure out, like, it shouldn't be that complicated. You know, it's a whole project. Like on this side, dealing with women can be a whole project. Like, goddamn, you know, you see a fellow Israelite, all right, you trying to figure out what this guy on, and he trying to figure out. Nah, man, it's overcomplicated. It's gonna be simplicity, man. It's gonna be your brother. It's gonna be love on sight. All right, a woman gonna fully understand what a woman is. You're not gonna have to have a debate and you know deal with combativeness and all these different things and past trauma. Which is all a part of the curses. We in these positions, for a reason. So, we deal. We gotta deal. you know, that's just part of it. And it's gonna make us enjoy, like the complications that we have to deal with now. Is gonna make us enjoy the simplicity of the kingdom. Ain't gonna be no money inflations and you know, you see, and it's gonna be ownership, man. You're not gonna have to pay, because you can have so many bills for everything, and you're just not owning nothing. Like nah, in the kingdom, it's gonna be ownership. Even after 1,000 years, Esau gonna be done away with, but the heathen they're gonna go back, to having their lands and owning things, man. Having inheritance ain't gonna be there's another in the kingdom ain't gonna be no homelessness, man, because people are gonna have inheritance. You're gonna be born into something. Even if it's an acre and a half and a few chickens, you're gonna have something. You're not gonna be homeless. Speaking of the other nations, okay. Well, this man has overcomplicated everything so much that you just have all these problems. And see, Esau loves people confused and not knowing how nothing works because he's able to pull off his wickedness, man. Okay, you don't really know who's in power. Is it Klaus Schwab? Is it the who? Is it like goddamn? You see, who answering the what? You don't know who really in conflict with another. You don't know who really on the team with it. Just a big confusion, man. Okay, when you look into this society, man, just been investigate some things. Lord will, me and the brother get on later on. Go into the wise men and teaming. But when you just investigate this man's society, man, it's like it's just layer and layer and layer and layer and layer of confusion. And people figure out one layer of confusion and they think, oh, I'm woke. No, you're not. Okay? You still confused as hell. Okay? You just pulled off one of many layers. All right? But you still confused as hell. And that's why the scriptures, talk about us being removed out of the darkness into this marvelous light. Like, nah, you gotta be completely removed, taken out of the way. That's why scripture talk about being born again, okay, becoming a new creature. Because there's so many layers to where you gotta start over. You gotta start from scratch, and build from there. You gotta get to zero. The boy, the guy, Sahib Basel said, you gotta get to zero, then start from there. Like that, childhood, like all that shit gotta be wiped out, and we gotta start from zero. You know, cause hey, we had some hell of a upbringings, in Babylon, you know, and it was based off a very overcomplicated, dynamic that this man set in the earth, okay, as a norm, especially amongst the tribes, you know. So, that was the point. This was things I was meditating on in the spirit that, one of the joys of the kingdom is that we're going to go back to simplicity, okay? We're going to go back to, to nature. And that's another thing, understanding, like wisdom is understanding the purpose of things. Like the purpose of, different herbs, the purpose of this stone, the purpose of this animal, the purpose of this, how the body works. Like that's wisdom, And when you understand that wisdom, you don't need, all right, the BS. You're not engulfed in the BS. All right, well, you know how your body works and how the herbs work and learning the smells and these different things, and you learning these things. You don't care about no goddamn red bottom shoes. Okay, when you know how the earth works, when you can build a house from scratch. Okay, you don't care about a Ferrari. Okay, that's not a big thing to you. Okay, when you a woman, when you can maintain the garden and convert, those herbs in the garden to medicines for your family, you're not concerned about no goddamn purse. Okay, all right. You're not sitting around, trying to mimic some real Real Wives of Hollywood, whatever them shows called, man. Okay, and then, nah, man, when you really start to learn the purpose of the Lord's creation, you know, you be tapped into a level of wisdom, and you be obsessed with it, man. And it creates a simplicity to life. Okay, so where you're not eating for taste, of course things taste good, but you're eating, for a purpose, man. You know, you're not learning wisdom just to have wisdom. You're learning it to apply it. You know, and there's a simplicity that comes in YAHAWASHI that we should be growing in. Okay, so Lord will you brothers, all right, and you sisters edified. Till next time, I say Shalom. Kwam Yashala, Abab, Abab, soon, Shalom.